Most people pour synthetic oil into their engine because they were told it's the best, but almost nobody actually understands what it's doing inside the engine. And that's the part mechanics usually don't explain. Not because it's a secret, but because it takes time. And most drivers don't ask. Here's the uncomfortable truth. A huge percentage of engines don't fail because of bad driving. They fail because of bad oil decisions, wrong oil type, wrong intervals, or blind trust in marketing. And once that damage starts, it's slow, silent, and expensive. In this video, I'm breaking down what synthetic oil really is, what it isn't, and where people get misled. We'll go step by step. What synthetic oil actually means, how the marketing works, why oil change intervals matter more than brand loyalty, and when synthetic oil is actually necessary instead of just optional. Let's start with the basics. What synthetic oil really is. Synthetic oil isn't magic. It doesn't make your engine bulletproof, and it doesn't forgive neglect. At its core, it's still oil. The difference is how it's engineered. Traditional oil comes from crude petroleum and contains molecules of all different shapes and sizes. Synthetic oil is engineered to be more uniform. Those consistent molecules flow more predictably, handle heat better, and resist breaking down under stress. That's the real advantage. But here's where people get confused. Not all synthetic oils are the same. Engine oils are grouped into categories. Group 1 and Group 2 are conventional petroleum oils. Group 2 is cleaner and more refined, but still mineral oil. Group 3 is where things get muddy. These are heavily refined petroleum oils that, by law in many markets, can be sold as full synthetic. That means when you see full synthetic on a bottle, it doesn't automatically mean it's a true engineered synthetic. Many affordable synthetics are Group 3 oils with strong additive packages. They're not bad, but they're not the same thing as a true synthetic. True synthetics live in Group 4. These are PAO-based oils, built molecule by molecule for stability, heat resistance, and longevity. Group 5 oils are specialty blends, often used in racing or aviation, and most drivers will never need them. So when you buy synthetic oil, you're often paying for a label. That doesn't mean it's useless. It just means you shouldn't expect miracles. The marketing problem no one explains. This is where things get uncomfortable. The word synthetic has been watered down over time. Oil companies figured out that most consumers won't research what's inside the bottle. They'll just trust the label and the price. So brands stack on words like ultra, platinum, advanced protection, or extended performance. It sounds premium. It feels responsible. But in real-world driving, the difference between a $25 synthetic and a $60 synthetic is often much smaller than people think. I've seen engines run side by side on different price point synthetics. Same car, same driving conditions, same maintenance habits. In most cases, wear patterns were nearly identical. That's because engines don't care about marketing. They care about three things: correct viscosity, clean oil, and consistent changes. Everything else is secondary. The oil industry sells peace of mind more than protection. People want to feel like they're doing the best possible thing for their car. And companies know that feeling is valuable. Oil change intervals, where engines actually die. This is where more engines get killed than people realize. Synthetic oil ads love to push long intervals. 10,000 miles, 12,000, 15,000. On paper, under perfect conditions maybe, but real driving isn't a lab test. Short trips, stop-and-go traffic, cold starts, idling, dust, moisture, fuel dilution. All of that contaminates oil. Synthetic oil resists breakdown better than conventional oil, but it cannot stop contamination. I've opened engines that followed long synthetic intervals religiously. Sludge on timing chains, varnish on camshafts, oil passages partially blocked. Engines that could have lasted decades were worn out early because the oil stayed in too long. For most cars, even on full synthetic, 5,000 to 7,000 miles is the safe zone. If you drive short distances, sit in traffic, or live in extreme heat or cold, shorter is better. Synthetic oil buys you margin. It does not buy immunity. Oil should be treated like a working component, not a lifetime fill. Clean oil flowing consistently matters more than what brand is on the bottle. When synthetic oil actually matters, this is where synthetic oil earns its place. Turbocharged engines run hotter and stress oil more aggressively. Conventional oil breaks down faster under those conditions. Synthetic holds viscosity and protects turbo bearings better. Direct injection engines create more carbon buildup. Better detergents in synthetic oil help manage that contamination. Extreme cold starts benefit from synthetic oil's ability to flow quickly. Extreme heat, towing, heavy loads, and performance driving also favor synthetic oil because it resists thinning under pressure. If your owner's manual calls for synthetic, that's not marketing. That's engineering. The engine was designed around that oil. Synthetic oil isn't required for every engine, but when the application demands it, skipping it is gambling. And that brings us to the part nobody explains clearly: additives. That's where the real differences start to show. Now let's talk about the part almost nobody understands, even people who know cars: the additive game. Because base oil is only half the story. Additives are what make an oil clean, stable, and protective over thousands of miles. And this is exactly why two bottles can both say full synthetic, but one protects way better than the other. The additive game. What matters and what's hype, oil has jobs to do beyond lubricating. It has to clean, suspend contaminants, prevent corrosion, reduce wear, and keep the right thickness across temperature changes. That's all mostly handled by additives. Here are the big ones that actually matter. Detergents. These keep engine surfaces clean and prevent sludge and varnish buildup. If an engine runs hot, does short trips, or has direct injection, detergents matter a lot. Dispersants. These keep soot, moisture, and fuel contamination suspended so they can be carried to the filter instead of turning into sludge. Anti-wear additives. You'll hear ZDDP mentioned a lot. That's one of the classic ones. It creates a microscopic protective layer that helps prevent metal-on-metal contact under load. Some oils reduce it to meet emissions requirements, which is fine for many modern engines, but it can matter in older designs. Friction modifiers. These help fuel economy and smoothness, but too much or the wrong chemistry can reduce other protections. This is why random extra additives are usually a bad idea. Viscosity index improvers. These help an oil behave like the right thickness when cold and when hot. That's how a 0W20 can still protect at operating temperature, while flowing fast at startup. Corrosion inhibitors and antioxidants. These slow down oil breakdown and protect parts when moisture and acids appear. Here's the key. Companies can cut corners on additive packages to hit price points. So, two oils with the same viscosity rating and the same full synthetic label can perform very differently over time. And most drivers never notice because the engine doesn't explode instantly. It wears down quietly. Mixing oils. What really happens? Big myth. Mixing conventional and synthetic won't destroy your engine. In an emergency, topping off with whatever you can find is fine. Modern oils are generally compatible. The real issue is long-term consistency. Different oils have different additive balances. If you constantly mix brands, types, and viscosities, you can slightly weaken the overall additive performance. Usually not dramatic, but it's real. Also, if you mix viscosities, like 5W30 and 10W40, you're creating a blend that might not behave exactly how your engine was designed to operate, especially on cold starts. So the rule is simple. Emergency top-off is fine, but get back to one consistent oil at the next change. The oil filter, the most underrated engine part. This is where people get hurt financially. You can use the best oil on earth, but if your filter is cheap junk, your engine is still being fed contaminated oil. I've seen premium oil engines full of sludge because the filter was weak. A filter has three critical jobs: catch particles, including fine particles, maintain proper oil flow, prevent oil drainback when the engine is off. Cheap filters often have low-quality media that can't trap fine contamination. Some have weak drainback valves, so the oil drains out and your engine starts dry, which increases wear. Others have poor seals, which lets unfiltered oil bypass under pressure. That's how people end up needing major repairs while thinking they did everything right. Spending a little more on a good filter is one of the highest ROI moves in car maintenance. High mileage engines, why synthetic can cause leaks. This is another myth that confuses people. Synthetic oil doesn't magically destroy seals. What happens is this. Older engines often have sludge and varnish buildup that basically acts like a bandage. Synthetic oil, with better detergents, can clean that buildup. When it cleans it away, it reveals worn seals and old gaskets that were already on their way out. So the leak was coming anyway. Synthetic oil just stopped hiding it. That's why high-mileage synthetics exist. They often include seal conditioners designed to keep older rubber seals flexible and reduce seepage. If you're switching a 200,000-mile engine from conventional to synthetic, the smarter approach is to transition carefully. Either use a high-mileage synthetic or do a shorter interval for the first 1 or 2 changes to let the engine adjust. And again, your filter matters even more here because older engines usually produce more contamination. The real interval rule that saves engines. This is the part that matters most. People love the idea of 10,000 to 15,000 mile oil changes because it feels like premium maintenance. But most engines don't die because the oil breaks down. They die because contaminants build up. So the smartest rule is, follow the manual but adjust based on how you drive. If you do lots of short trips, sit in traffic, do cold starts, tow, or drive in very hot or dusty conditions, use the shorter end of the interval. For most normal drivers on synthetic, 5,000 to 7,500 miles is the safe range. The oil gives you margin, but the interval protects the engine. What I'd do personally, simple and practical. Here's the simple way to think about it without getting lost in brand wars. Pick the correct viscosity that your manual recommends. Use a reputable oil that meets the correct spec. Use a good filter. Change it at a realistic interval. That's it. If your engine is turbocharged, direct injected, or sees harsh driving conditions, don't cheap out on synthetic. That's where it actually matters. If your car is older and high mileage, use a high mileage synthetic and watch for leaks or consumption. Check your oil level regularly. Most engine deaths happen because people run low and don't notice. Synthetic oil isn't a scam, but marketing can be. Your engine doesn't care about platinum, ultra, or advanced. It cares about clean oil, correct viscosity, and good filtration. If you want the best protection, stop obsessing over the label and focus on what actually moves the needle: specs, filter quality, and realistic intervals. If you want, send me the exact video length you're targeting, like 8 minutes, 10 minutes, etc., and I'll tighten or expand this to match your pacing perfectly, with a stronger hook and smoother transitions for retention.